Hello everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Crystal Cast. This is a show where I talk about anything and everything Sailor Moon. Anime, manga, musicals, merchandise, live action, everything. Although this is the very first episode of Crystal Cast, we are actually 7 episodes into the airing of Sailor Moon Crystal. And for those of you who are experiencing the show for the very first time through Sailor Moon Crystal, I'm going to try to warn you of spoilers. I had a couple comments in some of my more recent React review videos saying that I was giving away some spoilers in my review. So I'm going to try to warn you guys when the spoilers are coming. I got a bunch of really wonderful, I got tons and tons and tons of really great questions from you guys. And I picked out my best ones, my favorites, and I'm going to answer those for you guys. And I've tried to kind of order them in a way that starts with the least spoilerific ones, and moving on to stuff that delves into the history of the series, of later seasons and later characters that appear and such. So I would normally start off the show by telling you guys any kind of new news or new merchandise that has come out, but there hasn't really been a whole lot of super news lately. Of course, they're always coming out with new merchandise. I must say the strangest thing that came out this week was the announcement that there's going to be Sailor Moon themed feminine hygiene products. That's all I'm going to comment about that. I just wanted to let you guys know that on both my React videos and my Sailor Moon Crystal, or Crystal Cast videos, I read every single comment that you guys submit, so thank you guys so much for all the comments that you leave on my videos. I do read every single one, and I try to give it a little thumbs up to let you know that I read it. Unfortunately, I simply physically, time-wise, cannot respond to every single comment because it would take me literally every hour of every day. So, just know that I've read your comment and thank you so much. So let's get into your questions. So that's what this episode 1 is going to be all about. So we're going to start off with the section that this is the no spoilers, or extremely small. Not even really any spoilers. So this is the no spoiler section for everybody. Alright, so starting right off with Nicholas H. asked, what reason do you think the creators of the 90s Sailor Moon anime had to not follow the steps of the original manga? Now, I started off with this question because this is something that everyone may not realize, though I think most people do realize, is that the original 90s anime was released at the same time as the manga. So as the manga was being written and released, the Sailor Moon anime started at the same time. So that is the reason that the original anime had a lot of filler and the story didn't exactly follow the manga because they didn't know what the story was going to be. In the case of Sailor Moon Crystal, we know the entire story. We know how it begins and how it ends, how each arc or each season begins and ends. And so that is why Crystal is able to follow the manga per chapter, whereas the original anime was not. The original anime aired weekly, so every week, if they caught up with the manga story, they had to put in some filler episodes until it got written. So that is the reason that the original 90s anime did not follow the steps of the manga, because it was simply not written yet. They're actually the original anime actually had entire arcs that were created for it to give the opportunity for the manga to actually catch up to it. So that's the reason for that. The next question is from Nerdy Mike. He asks, seeing how Sailor Moon Crystal's episodes very closely follow the manga, as we just said, what do you feel is the main difference between the original anime and Crystal? And I kind of just answered this, but the biggest difference between the two is that the original anime had a lot of filler. And now that's not necessarily a bad thing, though. What the filler gave us the opportunity to really learn more about the characters. So it had a lot of filler, as in it was just like a monster of the day. and there was like a little side story that didn't really progress the overall plot, but you had these great episodes that had great character development. You would have you would say, oh, this is a Ray episode, or this is an Amy episode, or this is a Makoto episode, or even like a side character would have a big role to play in the episode. This is a Naru and Umino episode. So it gave a lot of character development to the characters, whereas we're not quite seeing that as much in Crystal. And that's both a good and a bad thing. I love the pacing of Crystal because it's faster, and we're getting like you get the meat of the story. The story progresses in every single episode, but you're not getting as much character development. So there's pros and cons to each. The next question is from Hawkeye A53B. Asks, how important is the animation or the drawing quality in the Sailor Moon anime and manga series to you? Have you been satisfied with what's been presented? This is actually something that I've wanted to address for a while because I've kind of been intentionally avoiding answering this question, because there was, especially for the first couple episodes, there was this like intense drama and hate for how Crystal is drawn, and for some of the wonky frames and stuff. And so I really, the drama is still going on, and that's not something that I try to involve myself in, but I have wanted to address this, so this is a perfect opportunity. So thank you, Hawkeye, for the question. I'm going to read the rest of this here. Hawkeye says, I've enjoyed anime and manga for the stories mainly, and I don't mind some derpy-looking animations. Recently, though, I stumbled across a couple Tumblr posts making fun of Sailor Moon Crystal's animation work, and it kind of shocked me a little bit. These weren't from people who dislike Sailor Moon, but are fans themselves. It's not the first time I've seen it when discussing an anime or even manga before. Personally, I feel that this level of critique is being overly nitpicky, especially because I see highly critical remarks. I was curious to see how you personally value this aspect of anime and manga. So my official view on it is basically, I can't help but acknowledge that, yeah, there's some really kind of, like you said, derpy looking frames, derpy looking, the animation style is obviously different between episodes. That's kind of something that I was hoping wasn't going to happen in Crystal, because it happened a lot in the original anime, and for all the love that I feel for the original anime, some episodes, it's like you're just like, as soon as it starts, you're like, oh, it's this animator. And we are kind of getting that a little bit in Crystal as well. So obviously I acknowledge it. Do I want every single episode to be animated like episode 1 and 4? 1 and 5? Yes, of course I would. Am I outraged and angry and writing crazy mean comments and complaining about it on the internet? No. I actually just recently put up a Twitter post that showcased 4 absolutely gorgeous in-between frames from the Sailor Senshi's intros. And they are some of the most beautiful drawings that I've seen of the characters, and they're just little in-between frames in their introductions. So if you concentrate, this is just like life. If you concentrate on the negative, then that's what you're going to see. If you concentrate on the positive, that's what you're going to see. I concentrate on the positive of Sailor Moon Crystal, so I see this beautiful anime that, we have wanted forever, and we finally got it, and it has absolutely gorgeous art. So I'm not one to complain about it. On the topic of the reason I read the rest of that was that you mentioned there was some Tumblr posts and stuff. There's even entire vlogs, entire Tumblr accounts dedicated to making fun of the animation of Sailor Moon Crystal. And while it can be, again, if you look at it negatively, it can be depressing, but if you look at it as it's funny, then it's not so bad. And one of the things that made me feel crazy better about the whole thing was there's a Tumblr that's the same thing, and it's called Sailor Moon Animation Blips. And it's basically doing the same thing with the 90s anime. as we all know, was far from animated perfectly. And if you go there and you scroll down to the part where they talk about like the wonky hands and the wonky eyes in like even just the first like 2 or 3 episodes, I was just like laughing until I was crying because the thing is, Sailor Moon Crystal is brand new, it's shiny, it's sparkly, we all want to love it, and so to see people hating on it hurts us because we love it so much. Even if those people hating on it are fans themselves. So we're very like protective of it, but the 90s anime, it's like that's over and done with. It's been done. We know people love it, we know people hate it, and you know, it's old enough now, it's in the nostalgia folder, so we can laugh at it. And if so, this vlog kind of, or that blog kind of reminded me like that, yeah, sure, we can laugh at it. And it's so special to us, and it means so much to us that those animation mistakes in the 90s anime, those don't matter. We love it just the same. So it's the same in Crystal. That's my thought on it. Okay, I need to pick up the pace because I got a lot of questions to go. All right, Pokemon Mijumaru1 asks, what are your thoughts on the CG graphics of Sailor Moon Crystal since the first episode to the most recent one? Have you gotten used to it and are perfectly fine, or are you still a little bit not sure about them? At this point, I am perfectly fine with them. It was... if you've watched my reaction videos, you kind of know my answer to this, is that at first it was a little like, this is weird, this is different, I'm not sure why they did it this way. And I think to this day I would still have preferred if it was traditional animation. But I have no problem now with the CG animations, especially since I started my my site SailorMoonScreenshots.weebly.com. Which just showcases beautiful screenshots from the anime. And so going through individual frames of the transformations, they're just beautiful. They're gorgeous. So I love them. Yulia Gorina, I apologize if I'm probably going to pronounce someone's name wrong at some point. Asks, I believe I already asked, but I'm going to repeat it. They're skipping kisses and deaths and mature content, such as Usagi getting drunk in episode 4 and the kiss that we haven't seen yet between Usagi and Mamoru in Crystal. And do you think they're trying to save it for later, or are they trying to make it more kid-friendly? Like, what are they doing? I think that this is maybe just a choice that they've made to maybe not actually show it, maybe keep it, I don't know, maybe they are keeping it for later, like the kisses. As far as Usagi getting drunk, I don't think that was like a big deal. I don't think they took it out because they necessarily didn't want to show it. Of course, I don't know, I'm just speculating, but I really don't think it's a big deal. Like a really like moonlit like kiss, like if Tuxedo Kamen kissed Sailor Moon like on the cheek and it was like really, you know, it was all moonlit and all moody with the music and stuff, like that would have been really sweet to see, rather than kind of seeing this off screen, him leaning in and we don't really get to see anything. That's kind of unfortunate, but I don't think they're intentionally doing it for like because it's too mature or something. But it's Sailor Moon. We're gonna get the romantic Usagi and Mamoru, Tux and Sailor Moon, Serenity and Endymion kiss. We're gonna get it. So that really doesn't worry me at all. Next is Faulan Sagath says, what do you feel, this is an interesting question, what do you feel about Naru's role in the series, both in the manga and in the 90s anime, and in Crystal? Do you ever hope that any version of the series would include her in a deeper role? Naru, this isn't really a spoiler, it's pretty obvious by now that Naru is basically just Usagi's friend. In the 90s anime, she had, like I said, there was some episodes that revolved around her, so we get a little more character development with her, but she's always just kind of Usagi's friend. And Naru, I don't really feel either way about Naru. She's not like one of my favorite characters of the series, but I definitely don't hate her. She's just cute. She's just there. She's there to be Usagi's friend that's outside of all of this, you know, Sailor Senshi stuff. So I've never really I've never really had a desire for her to be in a bigger role. I mean, I don't want her to like become a Sailor Senshi or anything. So not really, no. Let me know in the comments if you guys ever thought about Naru, because that's a character that I don't hear a whole lot about as far as people like, oh, I wish there was more Naru, or I wish she had a bigger role, or she was a part of the whole fighting the enemy thing. That's just something you don't hear. So let me know what you guys think. Next, Brian Delphin asks, first he says, an amazing introduction for Crystal Cast. This was, of course, on my Crystal Cast episode 0 episode, so thank you. Question is, with Sailor Moon Crystal in full swing, what would be a 3-item merchandise list of the new series that you would like to get? I kind of don't count the stuff like the figures and the Figure Art Zero figures, the stuff that's coming out that is in the old style, that's in the 90s anime style. I kind of don't include that in like what would be my wish list, but because that's from the 90s anime. But if they made figures like that in the Sailor Moon Crystal style, which I do not see how they cannot do, because I know that the figure arts are selling like crazy. So I hope that we get either the posable ones or just beautiful statues of Sailor Moon Crystal style. That would definitely be one thing. Of course, all of the transformation items, because that's one of my favorite types of items to collect, is the roleplay toys, I guess you call them, the wands, the Proplica Moonstick, these are one of my favorite items, is the actual physical toys that are actually look like they came right out of the show. So hopefully they will make a Moonstick that looks just like the one in Sailor Moon Crystal. I want the lockets, I want the pens, I want everything. I want everything that's a replica of the items. So yeah. And I guess, let's see, figures, RP toys, and I would probably want, oh my goodness, dolls would be really cute. Not figures, but dolls would be really cute, like these little dolls, because I love dolls. Or just little Gashapons. Little Gashapons would be adorable. Or just any kind of little statue. I can't, those are like my two big things that I collect. So one of those, and of course a really detailed like art books and stuff would be gorgeous. And posters, this is way more than 3 now. But I want a big like poster to put back here. That would be awesome. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Brian Katz asks, if you identify most with Usagi and think that Usagi would be your best candidate for friendship, as I mentioned in the Crystal Cast 0 episode, then why is Minako your favorite? Well, not necessarily the character that I identify with, and the character that I think would be, the best candidate for friendship would not necessarily be my favorite character. As I said in that video, I don't usually compare myself to the characters. Like, a lot of people identify with the characters saying like, oh, I'm strong but sensitive like Makoto, or I'm shy and reserved like Amy. I don't usually compare myself. When I'm asked, I say I'm most like Usagi, but that's not, I don't like when I'm just watching the show, I don't see myself in the characters. So that would be why Usagi wouldn't be my favorite, even though I think I'm most like her. But Minako's my favorite because she's happy and she's bubbly. I guess I'm kind of like Minako too. And I guess this could be a minor spoiler, sorry. But we're hopefully gonna see in like the next episode or 2. But yeah, Minako is like, she's happy, she's bubbly, but then she can be very serious. She can turn it on and off, and then she can say, oh, I'm serious and we're gonna get, down to business, get stuff done. So, I don't know, Minako, I just love Minako. She's my favorite. Kaiser Draman, who I always love your comments and questions on my videos. What things do you like more or less when you started watching the show back in 1997? Nice paying attention. And now about the Sailor Moon franchise. That's a very good question. I like those. What did I like about it before, and what do I like about it now? And that's a very interesting question because, of course, back then it was brand new. I can still remember my very first time sitting and watching the series. And it was just, I had already fallen beyond in love with the first 2 seasons because when I watched it on TV here in America, and then when I got the last 3 seasons in Japanese, I can still remember, I was already in love with the show, and I can remember sitting and watching it, and it was just this, it was amazing because I had all these episodes to enjoy this show that I was so into, and it was all brand new to me at the time. So I think I just enjoyed learning about it. After I had finished watching the anime, it was just, I could not get enough knowledge. Like, I just wanted knowledge. And the internet was in more of an infancy state as far as, like, people putting up fan sites and information sites and stuff. So it was a lot harder to find information. There was no WikiMoon. There was no, like, just going to Google and searching for, the answer to a question. I mean, there might have been, but it was a lot more primitive. So it was like every fan site that I could happen to come across, that I would just devour the information. So it was like this learning phase, and that was really fun. I mean, literally memorizing information about the characters, memorizing their birthdays, all the songs. Oh my gosh, there's so many songs from the original anime. You have no idea. And so it was just consuming all of this media. Like, I think that's one of the reasons that Sailor Moon is so all-encompassing, and you get so... It's like if you've decided that this is going to be something that you're going to get into, there is just almost limitless amount of information and media to absorb. It's so massive that took up like 10 years of my life just absorbing the information and then writing fan fiction and fan art. It was just this like explosion of creativity both in and out. So my first experience with the show was just all of that. It was all encompassing. And then afterwards, like in the past like 7 years or so, is when it's kind of like, okay, I have all this information, I have all of this, this love for it and everything, but there's only so much of it that I can consume. Like, okay, I've seen it all at this point. So at that point, if you're not creating some kind of, like continuing to have an outlet for it, like fan fiction or fan art or making websites or creating videos, it's like it was almost after the musicals ended in 2005 and before Crystal was announced, it was almost like the most of a lull in Sailor Moon that there was, and that there was like in my personal like love of it, because there wasn't anything new coming out. There finally wasn't anything new to absorb. You kind of had to rely on what was already there. So I don't know if this is answering your question at all. I just went on a complete tangent. And that's what I kind of was hoping I wouldn't do. But yeah, so yeah. And now we're experiencing it all anew with Crystal and all this new merchandise and new musicals, and it's kind of like starting all over again. And I've expressed that in my React videos that how cool that is to kind of experience it all over again. Even just meeting the inner Senshi, it's brand new. That's cool. And I'm going to move on now. Thank you for the question. Nana F asks, says Crystal Cast looks like it's going to be great. Thank you. Do you think they'll make a Sailor V OVA? I hope so. They did it with the Pretty Guardian, with the live action, I believe. They made like a Sailor V special, so I hope they will make that and basically an actual Sailor V anime, even if it's just like a couple episodes long, or if it's just kind of like an extra thing. That would be amazing. Please do that. What is my favorite merchandise? I kind of already answered that. The statues, roleplay toys. The Sailor Moon program books are also one of my favorite things. And what do you think about the Sailor Moon merchandise? I already answered that as well. So basically, Sailor V OVA, yes. Yes. Kenshin Trek says and asks, what do you think about the rest of the Sailor Moon Crystal reactors around YouTube, like all of those awesome people right there? Have you seen their videos? Yes, I have seen many of their videos. What do you think about this community of reactors and reviewers that has formed around the Crystal reboot? I think it's amazing. It's pretty easy now for just about anyone with minimal skills to put a video out on YouTube, and having that as a creative outlet, is amazing. And I encourage everybody to give it a try. How do you think you included, will have an impact on the general Sailor Moon fans and public in general to become aware of Crystal? Do you think that they will have an impact on future releases of the series in the US and the rest of the world, or the Blu-ray release in the US and other regions of the world? The rest of it goes with it too. Do you think this community will have an impact on showing the Japanese producers the importance of this reboot so they will make more seasons of Sailor Moon Crystal? Okay, so I have no doubt that at least the U.S. has knowledge that there's a lot of reactors. There's a lot of people we are simply fans who are super excited about Crystal, about Sailor Moon, and have the means to share it with you guys. So that just creates more awareness and more love of Sailor Moon, and per viewers and subscribers and views on the videos, those are like hard numbers on how many people are watching, and like the hard numbers on the the Sailor Moon previews and like on the Sailor Moon official YouTube channel in Japan, those millions of views on the previews, the trailers for Sailor Moon Crystal, and like the music video for Moon Pride. Those are like hard numbers to show how popular it is. So the more you view these things, that's like hard numbers that they can look at. As far as directly having an impact on the show, like in Japan, as far as like will they make more? Again, I don't think we have a direct impact. Like they're not looking at us and saying, oh, look at those people making Sailor Moon Crystal reviews, that means we gotta make more. But like I said, it all goes into one big giant cluster of support and the fan base that is there. It all kind of, if through our videos we are creating more fans who will watch the show and who will possibly buy merchandise, buy the DVDs and the Blu-rays when they come out, that is the main thing. You guys have to understand that as much as we love this show, it's a business. They want to make money. So the best thing you guys can do to assure that there's more Sailor Moon Crystal is vote with your wallet. If you have the means and the extra cash to go and buy the DVDs and the Blu-rays and the merchandise, do it. Do it now, because this is the time that they're looking at those sales numbers. And if making more Sailor Moon Crystal is going to make them more money, then they're going to do it. But if we're not buying the merchandise and we're not buying the DVDs and we're not, they're not seeing high numbers on Nico Nico and Crunchyroll and Hulu, then they won't. So vote with your wallet and vote with your views. Go, go, go. Okay, now we are into the next section of questions, which I'm going to categorize under minor spoilers. So this is not going to, it shouldn't ruin like major plot points or give away big reveals, but I might be talking about like characters that we haven't seen yet, or I'm going to be talking about like entire arcs or entire seasons that we haven't seen yet, or villains we haven't seen yet. So if you want to, if you're only watching Sailor Moon Crystal and you're experiencing the series for the first time through Sailor Moon Crystal, and you do not want to be spoiled whatsoever, which it's the internet, so you've probably been spoiled on that there's Outer Senshi, and there's going to be more villains besides Queen Beryl. then if you want to remain 100% unspoiled, then turn the video off now. Or just skip to the very end. Maybe I'll put an annotation or something. I don't know. This is your warning. Okay? All right. So, Kajika101 asks, who is your favorite inner senshi and who is your favorite outer senshi? I have answered this before, but I will answer it again. My favorite inner senshi is Sailor Venus, Minako. I love her because she's happy and bubbly and crazy. And I love her, and she's smiley and happy. Who is your favorite outer senshi? My favorite outer senshi is Sailor Uranus because she's awesome and she's hot, and I have a girl crush on her. And yeah, and there's a fly flying around me here. He's trying to be in the video. So yeah, Venus and Uranus are my two favorites. I like the blondes. Michael Yozano asks, who's your favorite villain? There's short answer, my favorite villain is Sailor Galaxia. To elaborate on that, there's no villain in the show, sadly, that like I am all about and that I love. Like, it's kind of like if I had to pick, I would pick Galaxia. But I would also pick Professor Tomoe. Even though he scares me, he's so freaking insane. I actually used to hate him and how he would like laugh like manically, however you say that. But there's something about that crazy that I like. And I also cosplayed him. So there's that. Nicholas McDermott says, Sailor Moon was my first anime when I was a kid. Me too. Which season of Sailor Moon was your favorite and why? My favorite season of Sailor Moon is the third season, Sailor Moon S, because it's like just the right amount. Well, number one, outer senshi. I'm obsessed with the outer senshi, and S had the most outer senshi. But S was so much more, it was so much more dark than the rest of the series. Stars was kind of dark too, but it was the right amount of like good and dark, and had a little bit more serious themes than the others, I feel. And it's kind of like it was a little bit, it took the story into a little bit more complicated thing. Like, there was actually Sailor Senshi that you weren't sure if they were good or bad. Like, are we working with them or against them? It was kind of like where in the first season here you have Sailor Moon thinking, is Tuxedo Mask with us or against us? I'm not so sure. In S, you have actual other Sailor Senshi that they're saying, are these good or bad? Should we be with them or against them? I'm not sure. And just there was a lot of themes and dynamics in that season that really excited me. Moving on, Miri Togepi, you have such a happy picture and you look so interesting. You have always so happy, wonderful comments. Thank you so much. And of course she says all kinds of wonderful, happy things. She's so happy that there are people like me who are crazy about Sailor Moon and share emotional childhood memories and the love of the characters and the story. Oh, thank you. Questions. Who's your favorite couple or pairing, and which is your favorite episode and why? And this is of the 90s anime I'm answering this about. As I've said before many times, my favorite couple is Neptune and Uranus, or Haruka and Michiru. They are my absolute favorite couple. And I've explained, I don't know if I've even ever explained why. There is no explaining why. They're just so beautiful, and I love them so much, and their love is so subtle and beautiful, and I love them. And my favorite episode of the original series of the 90s anime, my favorite episode is episode 110. A little bit bigger spoilers here, so maybe mute for a second if you don't want to hear like a big spoiler. I'll put my finger down when the spoiler is done. Episode 110 is the first episode where Neptune and Uranus die. Neptune and Uranus' death, and thus the episode is kind of centric around them, and it's like it's a dark, like brooding episode. So that's something that I like about it too, and it really like kind of shows their love. Another one of my favorite episodes, my second favorite episode, which is very, very close, is episode 198, which is the second time they die. When they die in Sailor Stars. is another one of my favorites because again it kind of shows like as they're dying that it shows the love between them, and it's kind of like the most lovey-dovey that we ever see them, and they really like they don't care about anything but each other. Like they're doing their mission and they're doing what they got to do, but first and foremost you see the love between them, and that they truly love each other more than anything. So that's my favorite episode. My favorite 2 episodes actually. Pop Pixie Fandom. I am watching Sailor Moon R and of course Crystal right now. That means I haven't seen a movie. Which Sailor Moon movie is your favorite? Now there are, in the 90s anime, there's 3 Sailor Moon movies, one for R, one for S, and one for Super S, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th seasons. My favorite, it actually keeps jumping between S and Super S. I love them both for different reasons. S is all about Luna. Luna is actually the main character in Sailor Moon S, and which is something we might actually see in Crystal, because the story of that is in the S movie words is in the manga. So that is something that we hopefully will see in Crystal, because the thing I like about the S movie is that outer senshi, and the fact that it made me cry. Oh my gosh, you guys. The scene in that movie where Luna starts crying, I lost my shit. The first time I saw that, I started bawling. I was like, you can't make Luna cry. Oh, it was terrible. But I also really like the Super S movie. As much as Super S is so kiddie, it's so about like Chibiusa and the kids. Again, it has outer senshi, and it's very colorful, and it's very like action-packed and suspenseful. So that was something that I really like about the Super S movie. So I kind of like both. If I had to pick one, probably I like them both. I like I said, I keep going back and forth. I like them both. Probably Super S though, because it has a lot more action, I think. Anyway, Chino Lelo, something like that. Hi. What do you love individually about every sailor? Senshi, Guardian, Soldier, anything but Scout, please. Please. Can we move on from the term Sailor Scout? Pet peeve. Can we please move on? We have Guardians now. Just please use Guardian. I'm sorry. That wasn't you personally. That was like the internet. Can we please stop using Sailor Scout? Sorry. It's just a pet peeve. Nothing personal. But wonderful question that I'm going to answer very quickly. What do you love individually about every Sailor Senshi? The 10 main ones. Okay, we're going to go really fast. Sailor Moon, of course, she's the main character, and she's got so much love for people. She's a crybaby, and I think a lot of us can identify her with her, but she can turn on the courageousness, and that's awesome. Amy, Mercury is just like, she's just so sweet. I mean, how can you not love her? She's just so sweet, and she gets so embarrassed at like the cutest things. I mean, there was a special where she was, the Super S special where she's like kind of falls in love, and she's getting love letters, and like her weakness is love letters, and it's the cutest thing ever. She's just cute. Mars, she's sexy, and she's passionate, and she's fiery, and yeah, she's kind of like no BS. She's like, I am me, and if you get a problem with that, then you can just get out of my face. Jupiter, I keep switching between their regular names and their Senshi names, but Makoto is just like, she's both sweet and strong. Like, she's the perfect epitome of how a girl can be really like sweet and nice and like girly things like dressing up and cooking and stuff, and at the same time just like kick your ass because she's awesome. Minako, I've already said, she's bubbly and crazy and fun. But then she can turn on and be the leader, like bam, like all business. And I just love her, and she's beautiful. We're going to go to Chibiusa, or Chibi Moon is people have a very love-hate with Chibi Moon. You either love her or you hate her, and I used to kind of hate her, and now I kind of love her just because she's cute and she's got lots of feels for things. Like she's like Usagi, where she can make friends with absolutely anyone, and she has pink hair. Yeah. Uranus, like I said, girl crush. She's strong, she's sexy, she's awesome. Neptune, I love because she's beautiful and she's talented, and she has an awesome voice in the 90s anime. It's so unique. And she's in love with Haruka, and that is, she loves nothing more in her life than Haruka, and I think that's beautiful. Pluto, Setsuna, I love because she's mysterious, and she's got a staff with a heart on it. I don't know where my mind is going with this. I love all the outer senshi for all the reasons, because they are just like they're just awesome, and it's kind of neat because they always like oppose. They are not afraid to concentrate on their mission and flat out oppose Sailor Moon and the inner senshi. They're just like, we got our business and we're gonna do it, and we don't care if you guys stand in our way. We will attack you if you stand in our way. Anyway, that's not about Setsuna specifically, but she's mysterious and she's awesome, and she's got that nice tan. Yeah. And Hotaru, Saturn is so cute. She's just so sweet, and you just want to like take care of her because she's like, oh. And when every time she says "Papa," I just want to die because it's so cute. I think I got them all. Okay, I'm going to move on. Wickedly Unique asks, favorite pairing? Like I said, Haruka Michiru. What other couples are among your favorite pairings in anything? I think seeing the inner senshi paired up with the Shiteno, if that's actually going to happen, will be strange and cool at the same time. I'm interested to see. I think I'm going to really love it if we do end up seeing that. But I'm not. But at the same time, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about it. So I think that is potentially going to be really cool. Actually, other than that, of course, Usagi and Mamoru. But like I said, I love when they say Usako and Mamo-chan. That gets me every time. Other than that, it's not like the series is full of couples. It's like of all the senshi, I guess Chibiusa and Helios, however you say his name. It's really bad that I don't know, but yeah, they're really adorable. Chibiusa and Helios are adorable. So there's that too. I guess that would be my other favorite. Wickedly Unique had an awesome story. After I talked about the story about my childhood experience with Sailor Moon, an embarrassing story, and I wanted to share. These made me laugh. She says, my friends and I used to always hunt and seek out whatever poor guy we could find around the playground at recess and force him to be Tuxedo Mask. That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. I love that. That made me laugh. And then for picture day in the 4th grade, I'm sorry I'm displaying your embarrassing stories. Picture day in the 4th grade, you came to school dressed as Sailor Jupiter in your Halloween costume. That is awesome. You should share that picture. That's amazing. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, Kiara Demian asks, if you were to create a Sailor Guardian, what would her colors be and what would her powers be? I have created a Sailor Guardian, and I have stuck with her, and no, it's not Sailor Earth or Sailor Sun. I think everybody at one point has created their own Sailor Senshi. My own Sailor Senshi was Sailor Miranda, and she was the daughter of Neptune and Uranus, Miranda being one of the moons that orbits Uranus. And she was unique because she had the powers of both Neptune and Uranus. So she was the wind and the sea. And oh my gosh, you guys, I have like a bio of her. I made fan art of her. I gave her like attack names. I gave her like catchphrases. Oh my gosh. Somewhere buried in my computer is like the history of Sailor Miranda, and of course she came around in Crystal Tokyo. Neo Queen Serenity used the power of the Ginzuisho. For those of you who don't know, that's the silver crystal. She used the power of the silver crystal to allow Neptune and Uranus to have a child together, and it was Sailor Miranda, and she was Chibiusa's best friend, and and Hotaru's best friend, and they went around and they had wacky, fun adventures together. Yeah, cause custom Sailor Senshi. That was mine. Okay, last question in the minor spoilers category is Jaleesa Sanchez, who had a bunch of questions. But my favorite, she asked for one, what is my favorite episode and why? And I already explained that. And what things do you prefer I'm skipping over the first one. For now, what things do you prefer in the anime over the manga and vice versa? Story-wise, it's hard for me to say. I don't like in the original anime that they completely left out like a bunch of characters. That fly keeps flying around here. I guess, yeah, I don't like that the anime left out characters, of course. And I know the ending was very different. So I prefer, the manga is the original story, so of course I prefer everything the original story, the original characters. I'm sad we never saw the Sailor Quartet. But things I prefer in the anime, it's the anime, and it's in color and motion and voice and songs and so much that the manga can't give us. So I guess it was kind of an obvious answer, but I answered it anyway. But the big question that Jaleesa, I apologize. The big question that is on everybody's minds: Mamoru or Seiya for Usagi? Well, of course, I have nothing against Seiya. I love Seiya. I love all the Starlights. But of course, Usagi and Mamoru, they're destined to be together. I've never had any want for Usagi to end up with Seiya. I liked their interactions. I liked that she was not tempted by him, but like she always got nervous when he got close to her, and he really did have, I'm talking in anime terms, of course, saying he had true love for her, even if he wasn't in love. I still believe he wasn't in love wanting to be with her, because I believe his heart truly belonged to the princess, but his princess, of course. He did have a love for her, but not the same. It wasn't the same destined love. They weren't destined to be together. Puppies. They were destined to be together like Serenity and Endymion. So Mamoru Seiya, my vote is Mamoru. Okay, we have 2 questions left. We have 2 questions. Hopefully I haven't been recording for too terribly long. We actually might keep this under an hour, which is what I'm going to aim for. So we have 2 questions left, and this is the section where there may be major spoilers. Actually, actually, the first one, not really. I kind of already maybe gave some big spoilers. I don't know. I'm sorry. But anyway, I'm going to move on. So, actually, this isn't much more bad than anything I already said. But CJ Striker CBR asks, even though we have Crystal, would you ever want to see a Sailor V anime? And would you, this is a two-part question. Sailor V anime, we already said yes, absolutely. Yes, 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 Sailor V anime. And would you want to see a follow-up series to the original anime, or a series that happens after Stars? If so, what do you think it should be about? See, when they very first announced Crystal, they were pretty quick to say that it was going to be a remake, that they weren't going to continue the story after Stars, or at least that wasn't, the original intention. It wasn't going to, like, pick up where the 90s anime left off. If it did, of course I want more story, because the Sailor Moon anime, the manga story, the story of Queen Beryl, the story of Demando, the story of, Pharaoh 90 and Mistress 9, those stories have been told to death. So, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's like, at some point, you're like, I want something new. And we actually did get something new in the musicals. For those of you who haven't watched the old musicals, there were musicals with original stories. There was Kaguya Island, which told an original story of Kaguya Island and the crazy antics that happened there, that was in no other incarnation of Sailor Moon. And they had the third stage with Miyuki Kanbei had Sailor Moon versus Vampires. 4 musicals about Sailor Moon versus vampires, which obviously never happened in any other version of Sailor Moon. Unless you want to count the Super S special, in which there was like a mini episode about Chibiusa battling some vampires. But this is totally different. It's like full out Dracula, Elizabeth Bathory, like the whole 9 yards. Maybe it would be cool to see that animated. That's something I actually never thought of before. I think seeing those unique musicals, those unique musical stories animated would be very interesting. Actually, that's something I never thought of before. I don't know if it would fit in after Stars, but I guess if you're just going to do another storyline, as long as you continue to evolve the characters, then it would be okay. Like, obviously from the first season to the 5th, the characters, there's not this gigantic change, but you can tell that the characters have matured a little bit. Usagi in Stars is way more mature than Usagi in Classic. So as long as you keep continuing the like slight maturation of the characters, and you kind of continue with that, you can kind of do anything you want. There's never been anything that I've specifically wanted to see, except I have always wanted to see more detail put into Crystal Tokyo. I think Crystal Tokyo is so cool, and just the fact that, like, they're not just schoolgirls anymore. They're not just regular people in the world that, go and save the world. Like, Usagi is the queen of the earth, basically. Like, Usagi, you have Neo Queen Serenity and King Endymion. They rule Crystal Tokyo. I guess they rule the world, or the planet, I guess, in Crystal Tokyo. You have, then you have the princesses. All the other girls are the princesses. You have their palaces and stuff, and I have always wanted to see that be elaborated on. Like, we got so few glimpses of Crystal Tokyo in the anime, and, in the manga only told us so much about it and showed us so much. Of course, you have the time travel in us going forward to see Crystal Tokyo, so you actually do have some action going on in Crystal Tokyo when they travel there, but yeah, that's about it. It's like you don't have their day-to-day happenings there, and that's something that I kind of always wanted to see. I always thought that would be a very cool thing to elaborate on. Maybe in like a movie or something. That's what I would want to see. I would want to see a movie more than an hour long, because each of the Sailor Moon movies is only an hour, and I always thought that was really sad. I'm like, I want a 2 or 3 hour Sailor Moon movie. But That's what I want. I want a movie, a 2-hour Sailor Moon movie about Crystal Tokyo, like the day-to-day life and happenings and whatever enemy would come to attack Crystal Tokyo. That's what I want. So the last question I have before we move on to the ending is a very interesting one. I love this question. This is from Teresa Anna. And the answer to this, the spoiler alert, this isn't so much going to spoil anything about Sailor Moon, but though I think everybody who has not wanted to hear Sailor Moon spoilers is done with the video by now. But this is going to spoil things about Madoka Magica. If you have not seen Madoka Magica and you plan on seeing it and you don't want that spoiled, this is going to spoil big plot points for Madoka. So I'll put an annotation to skip this question if you don't want Madoka ruined for you, which I highly recommend. Madoka Magica is a fantastic series. It's like Magical Girl, but not. It's like take everything you know about Magical Girl anime and throw it out the window or turn it on its head, and it gets dark and crazy and it's awesome. And it's only 12 episodes, so I highly recommend checking that out. But if you do not want it spoiled, stop now. Okay, so Teresa Anna asks, "Hey Peach, I have an odd and somewhat dark Crystal Cast question for you. How different do you think Usagi and crew's lives and adventures would have been if they received their powers from Kyubey in Madoka, damn Kyubey, instead of Luna and Artemis? Sailor Moon is classic shoujo, while Madoka turns the very concept on its head, and I'm curious how you think the girls in Sailor Moon would have handled adventures that were very dark and came at a heavy price instead of living the lives that were full of light and love. Also, which senshi do you think would have been best suited to handle it?" That is a fantastic question that I have not really thought of, and I'm not even sure what my answer is going to be. But okay, so if you need a reminder, or if you have no plans on watching Madoka, so basically Kyubey, which is this cute little animal, kind of like cat-like, like Luna and Artemis, comes up to them and says, "Do you want to be a magical girl? And if you do want to become a magical girl, it's your choice, but if you do, I will grant you one wish, anything your heart desires. I will grant you a wish, but then you have to be a magical girl and fight witches or monsters. You have to do this. This is going to be like your job. You have to fight monsters, but I will give you anything your heart desires." So it's about the struggle of these girls trying to decide whether they want to make this contract with Kyubey or not, because they have the choice. And in the end, they all do make the contract, but it's like the main character takes the entire series to decide that she's going to do the contract. But as the series goes on, big huge spoilers here, it's revealed that witches that they're fighting were previously magical girls. That you have to keep fighting these witches and get their grief seeds in order to purify these little, I forget what they're called. They're little crystal things that make them, give them their powers, and basically their soul is inside this seed or whatever it is. And as they use magic, they get corrupted. This is going way more into the plot than I was planning on, but they get corrupted, and if it gets completely corrupted and they are not cleansed, then they themselves will turn into witches. So it is their job as magical girls to fight previous magical girls. So that's what makes the concept so dark, is that even though they got their wish granted, they're basically destined to become witches themselves. What would it be like that if Kyubey came to Usagi and Amy and Rei? I think, see, in Sailor Moon they were kind of didn't have a choice. It's not like, oh, do you want to be Sailor Mercury? No, it was just like, you're in trouble, here's this pen, transform, bam, now you're a Sailor Senshi, this is your destiny, and they kind of don't question it. Whereas in Madoka, Kyubey gives them the choice and says, it is your choice. You don't have to do this. I can take my promise of one of your heart's desires and leave and never bother you again. So I see it's hard because of course in the anime world you're like, oh, of course they all would eventually do it, otherwise we wouldn't be meeting these characters. But see, like, I think like the more level-headed ones, like Amy and Ray, and even like Minako would probably say, no to it, but at the same time, like I've explained before, all of the Inner Senshi were like kind of like outcasts, and they were very sad in their lives before they met Usagi. So if it's pre-meeting Usagi, they might have just done that. Except I definitely don't think Amy. I think Amy would have been way too level-headed to accept Kyubei's offer. But the rest of them, Makoto might have wished to get her senpai back. She might have wished for, a boyfriend or a relationship. I think possibly Minako might have wished to just forget her Sailor V days and just not be Sailor V, because that wasn't fun for her. Ray, possibly she would have, wished to not be so creepy to people, possibly wished to not have her sixth sense that, kind of would torment her and made people think that she was weird. So, as for Usagi, I think Usagi just would have been too scared, but at the same time, then, in the first episode, Luna gives her a locket and says, here's a pretty locket, and she just forgets that there's a talking cat talking to her, giving her stuff. She's just like, ooh, pretty locket. I'll do whatever you say, Luna. So, I'm not sure what Usagi would have wished for. Maybe to not be so dumb and so klutzy and not such a crybaby. But now I think all of their wishes would have been a little more grandiose than that. But I don't know. I can't think right now of what like their wishes actually would have been. But really, Amy is the only one that I can see completely rejecting it. Like, I do not see Amy accepting it at all. Like, 100%. She would be too smart for that. Because Kyubei is evil. So, Amy would be best suited to handle the situation by just flat out refusing it, I think. Whereas the rest could have been, I think, especially because they all had, things that they were unproud of in their lives, that I'm way too rambling on this, but you know what I mean. I think yeah, it would be interesting. Someone has probably written a fan fiction about it. So yeah, I'm going to move on now. That is actually all the questions that I had, and that just about brings us to the end of Crystal Cast episode 1. There's a couple things that I'm playing around with doing at the end of the Crystal Cast here. But for the episode 1, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a shout out and a recommendation to a bunch of the other Sailor Moon reactors out there, because we did have a big question about that, and a whole bunch of you were listed there. But here's some of my favorites I'm going to list that you guys should check out, and I'm going to tell you briefly how awesome they are. And the first one, my favorite, is Evan McIsaac. I hope I said that right. But if you guys have not checked out Evan's channel, he's been doing Sailor Moon videos forever. He has done reviews of every single episode of the original anime, every single episode of Pretty Guardian. He's going through and doing reviews of the musicals, and he's doing Sailor Moon Crystal. So he's real good at, he has a lot of humor in his videos, and then he gives a rating, and he gives individual ratings on different aspects of the episode, and then he gives like an overall rating. And his videos are just like, they're quirky and they're funny and they're very entertaining. And he has a lot of other videos, a lot of them Sailor Moon related, on his channel that are just hilarious, and so I love him, and I'm giving a huge shout out to him. You should definitely go check out his channel. The man does hilarious things with construction paper. I will leave it at that. The next one is Omar Roke. I already mentioned him in the last Crystal Cast because he shouted me out to do the Sailor Moon Crystal tag, which I did. So thank you for those questions. That was really fun to do. He does Sailor Moon reaction videos over on his channel, so you should go check him out. He has a lot of charisma, and it's really fun to see his reactions. So go check him out. The next one is Spunky Bunny and Sailor Boy. Check them out because it is really funny to see the two of them. It's kind of different because it's two people sitting down together talking about Sailor Moon Crystal, talking about the episode, reacting to the episode, and getting to talk to each other. And they have different levels of familiarity with the series. Like he knows a little bit more about it, and she knows about it, but she's a little bit more experiencing the characters in a story for the first time. So that dynamic between them is really cool to watch. So shout out to them. Go check them out. The next one is Alcrea. Go check out her channel. She is actually probably the closest to my reaction videos because she loves the series. She gets emotional. I know she loves Usagi and Mamoru, so she gets very, very emotional like I do. She's not afraid to cry on camera like I am, so big shout out to her. And she's an awesome cosplayer too. I have met her, and she has a ton of really cool Sailor Moon cosplays. So go check her out. The next one is, I'm going to say this wrong, Aije Tortilla. I said that really wrong. I'm very sorry. But I just very recently learned about her, and I watched a couple of her videos, and she does reviews on merchandise. She does, of course, not reactions, but reviews on Sailor Moon Crystal episodes. And it's just a bunch of other Sailor Moon stuff. And she has a really fun and informative yet funny way of reviewing the episodes, and just her comments on stuff it made me laugh. I really like her videos, and she has pretty good production quality too. So I'm getting tired. Go check her out. And the last one, I'm going to give a shout out to LaShawn Colvin because she has just started her Sailor Moon channel, and she was very adamant about letting everybody know and getting shout outs. So shout out to LaShawn. She has only a couple videos up on her channel right now, but she's off to a pretty good start, and she's very knowledgeable about the series. She even pointed out a couple things in the trailer for episode 8 that I hadn't seen anybody else notice. So go check her out too and give her some support. Thank you all. I know some of you have given me shout outs, so thank you so much for that. I really, really appreciate it, guys. And I hope to have possibly some of you as guest hosts here on Sailor Moon Crystal at some point. And we will work all that out when it happens. Okay. So I am going to go. That's about all I have for this time. Actually, I'm going to throw in one more thing. I'm going to try and have a Sailor Moon video recommendation. Every Crystal Cast, I will pick one Sailor Moon video out of the vastness of the internet and to recommend to you guys. And since I mentioned how much I adore Evan and his videos, I'm going to I want you guys to check out his video called Sailor Amazing. He dresses up as the different Sailor Senshi using this construction paper to do the wig, the outfit, everything, and he's in front of a green screen, and oh my gosh, you guys, when I'm feeling bad about anything, I go and watch this video, and for lack of a better word, it's amazing. And I end up feeling amazing after I watch it. So that's going to be my video recommendation for episode 1 of Crystal Cast. Go check that out. Check all those awesome peeps out. All the links are going to be down in the description for you guys to check out. And that's about all I have. So for the next Crystal Cast, of course, I'm going to need more questions. So leave your guys' questions down in the comments below. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your question. I do have a couple questions that I really liked, but I wanted to save them for another one, so I have your comments and questions saved for next time. And just go ahead and submit your more questions, and I will pick my favorites again and answer them on Crystal Cast episode 2. I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time, and I will see you guys maybe before episode 8. I don't know. I'm just rambling now. Okay, bye!